I'm Amber Michaud, 29 years old, and Christmas has always been my favorite time of year. For as long as I can remember, I've been the reliable one, the family pleaser, the one who never says no. That all changed last December when I overheard my family's secret plan to use me as their holiday childcare solution for all 9 of their kids. The betrayal I felt in that moment changed everything. Before I dive into how my family tried to turn me into their personal holiday nanny, drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about learning to stand up for yourself. Let me paint you a picture of my family. I'm the second oldest of 4 siblings, all of whom are married with children. My older sister Madison has 3 kids, my younger sister Rachel has 4, and my brother Nathan has 2. That's 9 nieces and nephews ranging from 2 to 12 years old. I love them all dearly, but washing all 9 simultaneously. That's not a one-person job. I'm the only single one in the family. While my siblings were getting married and having children in their early 20s, I pursued my education and built my career as a graphic designer. I now work for a prestigious marketing agency in the city and have a comfortable 1-bedroom apartment downtown. My family has always viewed my single status as some kind of deficiency, like I'm just killing time until I find a husband, rather than living a fulfilling life of my own design. Being unmarried and childless has somehow translated in my family's minds to being perpetually available. This assumption has been the foundation of our dynamic for years. If someone needs a last-minute babysitter, call Amber. Car broke down and need a ride at 6 a.m., Amber will do it. Need an emergency loan until payday? Amber must have savings since she doesn't have kids to support. Our apartment has become the unofficial family crash pad. My brother crashed on my couch for 3 weeks during his separation from his wife 2 years ago. My sister Madison used my place as a homework sanctuary when her house was being renovated. My parents store their seasonal decorations in my storage unit because you have the extra space, dear. Every birthday, every holiday, every family crisis, I'm expected to drop everything and be there. Christmas has always been the worst. For the past 5 years, I've been responsible for cooking most of the holiday meal, buying and wrapping gifts for everyone including helping my siblings shop for each other, decorating my parents' house, and entertaining the kids while the others socialize. Last year, I spent Christmas Eve assembling toys until 3 a.m. while my siblings enjoyed drinks by the fire. I spent Christmas morning cooking breakfast while everyone else opened presents. I never complained because, well, that's what family does, right? At least that's what I've always told myself. 6 months ago, I finally started seeing a therapist after experiencing anxiety attacks at work. Dr. Hammond helped me recognize these patterns of being taken advantage of. She pointed out how my own behavior reinforced the family dynamic, how my inability to say no had created an expectation of unlimited availability and assistance. Boundaries aren't just about saying no, she told me during one session. They're about teaching others how to treat you. Every time you say yes to something you don't want to do, you're teaching your family that your needs don't matter. Those words hit me hard. She encouraged me to start small, decline one request, say no to one imposition. The first time I told my sister Rachel I couldn't babysit last minute because I had plans, I didn't, but that wasn't the point. She acted like I'd committed some kind of family treason. But you always wash the kids when I need you to, she said, genuinely confused by my refusal. As Christmas approached this year, I was determined to do things differently. I'd been in therapy for months, working on my people-pleasing tendencies and boundary issues. I planned to participate in the holidays as an equal family member, not as the designated helper. I took 2 weeks off work, bought expensive, thoughtful gifts for everyone, and even splurged on a new dress for the family dinner. I created a mental script of polite but firm responses for when the inevitable requests for help came in. I'd love to help, but I can only do X. I won't be able to do that, but I can do this instead. That doesn't work for me, but here's an alternative. I rehearsed these phrases in my mirror, trying to make them feel natural on my tongue. I genuinely believed this Christmas would be different. I thought I could change the dynamic through clear communication and gentle boundary setting. I had no idea that my family had already made plans for me, plans I was never meant to know about until it was too late to refuse. 3 days before Christmas, I decided to surprise my parents by stopping by early to help with some last-minute preparations for our pre-Christmas family dinner. I had picked up some specialty cheeses and wines that my mom loved, thinking it would be a nice gesture. I used the spare key they had given me years ago and quietly entered through the side door that leads directly into the kitchen. The house looked beautiful, already decked out in full Christmas splendor. The massive tree in the living room sparkled with the ornaments we'd collected over decades of family Christmases. Garlands draped along the staircase, and the air smelled of cinnamon and pine. For a moment, I felt that familiar childhood excitement that comes with the holiday season. I was about to call out to announce my presence when I heard my name mentioned in the dining room. My mother's voice drifted clearly through the partially open door. Amber will just have to handle all the kids. There's no other option if we want to go to the Hendersons' party. I froze, my hand still on the doorknob. Something in her tone made me pause instead of walking in. I quietly set down my bags on the kitchen counter and moved closer to the dining room door. Are you sure she won't mind? That was my brother-in-law Tyler, Rachel's husband. That's a lot of kids to watch at once. My mother laughed dismissively. Amber never has plans anyway. She'll be fine with it. She did mention something about wanting to go to her friend Jessica's party on Christmas Eve, my sister Madison said, though her tone suggested this was a minor inconvenience rather than a legitimate conflict. Well, she can go another time, my mother replied. Family comes first, and we all deserve a break. The Hendersons' Christmas Eve party is adults only, and I already told them all of us would be there. What about Christmas Day? That was my sister Rachel's. Kevin and I wanted to go to that brunch at the country club. The kids would be bored there anyway. Amber can wash them then too, my mother said casually, as if she was assigning simple tasks rather than making decisions about my holiday. It's not like she has a husband or kids to worry about. This is her contribution to the family Christmas. I felt my chest tighten. They were planning my entire Christmas without me, assigning me to childcare duty for both Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I wouldn't be able to attend any adult gatherings or have any time to myself. I would effectively be the unpaid holiday nanny for the entire family. We should get her something really nice as a thank you, my brother Nathan said, the first hint of consideration I'd heard so far. We already got her that scarf, his wife Erica replied. Besides, she loves spending time with the kids. It's good practice for when she finally has her own family. The conversation continued, with my siblings and their spouses planning their various holiday outings and events, none of which included me except as the childcare provider. They discussed logistics, who would drop off their kids when, what food to leave for them, what time they'd return to pick them up. Amber loves the kids, she'll be thrilled to have them all day, my mother concluded, with such conviction that for a moment I almost believed her. She's always saying she doesn't get enough time with them. I did love my nieces and nephews, and I had said I wished I could see them more often, but that didn't mean I wanted to be excluded from all family gatherings to watch them while everyone else had fun. The casual way they discussed it, the absolute certainty that I would comply, the dismissal of my own potential plans, it all hit me at once, a stunning realization of exactly how they viewed. I stood there, hand pressed against my mouth to prevent any sound from escaping. Tears burned behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. A lifetime of being the reliable one, the good daughter, the helpful sister, flashed through my mind. How many times had I rearranged my life to accommodate their needs? How many of my own events had I missed because someone needed a favor? I backed away slowly, grateful that the kitchen floor didn't creak. I picked up my bags of cheese and wine, gifts they would never receive, and silently left through the same side door. They never knew I was there. They never knew I had heard every word. Back in my car, I sat gripping the steering wheel, my knuckles white. I didn't start the engine for a long time. I just sat there, processing what I had heard, feeling waves of hurt, anger, and something else, something that felt surprisingly like freedom. In that moment, I knew that everything was about to change. I drove home in a blur of tears, barely seeing the festive lights and decorations that lined the streets. My mind replayed the conversation over and over, each repetition revealing new layers of hurt. The casual dismissal of my time, the assumption of my availability, the way they spoke about me as if I were a resource rather than a person with my own life and desires, it all cut deep. By the time I reached my apartment, my sadness had crystallized into something harder and more defined. Anger. Not the fleeting, explosive kind, but a steady, burning recognition of injustice that had been building for years. I kicked off my shoes and collapsed onto my couch, my mind swirling with memories. The time I missed my college roommate's wedding because my sister Rachel had a childcare emergency that turned out to be a spontaneous date night. The promotion celebration I left early because my brother needed help moving a couch. The vacation days I'd used to care for sick nieces and nephews so my siblings wouldn't have to miss work. I called Jessica, my best friend since high school and one of the few people who truly understood my family dynamic. They did what? Jessica's outrage was immediate and validating. Please tell me you're not going along with this. I don't know what to do, I admitted, a voice small. If I confront them, it'll cause a huge fight right before Christmas. If I go along with it, I'll resent them even more. Amber, listen to me, Jessica's voice was firm. This is exactly what Dr. Hammond has been helping you work on. They are taking advantage of you because you let them. This is your chance to break the pattern. But it's Christmas, I protested weakly. I don't want to ruin everyone's holiday. What about your holiday? Jessica challenged. Why is everyone else's Christmas more important than yours? Why do they get to celebrate while you're stuck babysitting 9 kids? She was right, and I knew it. I sat up straighter, wiping away my tears. So what do I do? Call them out. Tell them I overheard. What do you want to do? Jessica asked. Forget about their expectations for a minute. If you could spend Christmas exactly how you wanted, what would you do? The question stunned me. In all my years of holiday planning, I'd never actually considered what I wanted. Christmas had always been about fulfilling obligations and meeting expectations. What did I want? I started slowly, the idea forming as I spoke. I think I want to be somewhere else. Somewhere warm. I've always wanted to see the beach on Christmas Day. Then do it, Jessica said simply. Book a trip. Go somewhere amazing. Let them figure out their own childcare. I can't just leave, I protested, even as something inside me thrilled at the possibility. Why not? Give me one good reason that doesn't involve sacrificing your happiness for people who don't appreciate it. I tried to formulate an answer but came up empty. After we hung up, I sat with my laptop, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Was I really considering this? Running away for Christmas seemed so drastic, so I've character for reliable, dependable Amber. But maybe that was exactly why I needed to do it. I started researching last-minute travel deals, something I'd never done before. To my surprise, there were several affordable options. Many people avoid traveling on the actual holidays, making Christmas Eve and Christmas Day flights cheaper. A beach resort in Florida had a special solo Christmas package that included meals and activities specifically designed for people spending the holiday alone. I stared at the booking page for a long time, calculating costs and consequences. The trip would take a significant chunk of my savings, but I could afford it. The greater cost would be the family fallout. I closed my eyes and imagined 2 scenarios. In one, I stayed home and watched 9 children while everyone else enjoyed their holiday parties and brunches. I would be exhausted, resentful, and nothing would change. In the other, I was walking along a beach on Christmas morning, answering to no one but myself. My family would be upset, there would be drama, but perhaps, finally, something would change. I took a deep breath and clicked Book Now. As the confirmation email arrived in my inbox, I felt a strange mixture of anxiety and exhilaration. I had never done anything like this before, prioritized myself so completely over family expectations. It was terrifying and liberating all at once. Now came the hard part, telling them. I decided a group text would be best. It would allow me to say my piece without interruption, and it would ensure everyone got the same message simultaneously. I spent hours drafting and redrafting the message, trying to find the right balance between assertive and aggressive, between explaining my decision and justifying it. In the end, I kept it simple. Hi everyone. I wanted to let you know that I've decided to take a trip over Christmas this year. I'll be in Florida from December 23rd to December 27th. I know this is last minute, but this is something I need to do for myself. I've already dropped off your gifts at Mom and Dad's. Merry Christmas to all of you, and I'll see you in the new year. My finger hovered over the send button as a wave of doubt crashed over me. Was I being selfish? Was I overreacting to one conversation? Should I just fulfill my family obligations one more time? Then I remembered my mother's dismissive tone. Amber never has plans anyway. I hit send. The responses started coming in almost immediately. My phone buzzed repeatedly as message after message poured in, each one more incredulous than the last. Mom, what do you mean you're going to Florida? We have our family Christmas plan. You can't just leave. Madison, Amber, please tell me this is a joke. Who's going to wash the kids during the Henderson party? We've been planning this for months. Tyler, this is incredibly selfish, Amber. Family obligations come first, you know that. Rachel, you can't do this to us right before Christmas. What about the kids? They're expecting to see their aunt. Kevin, why don't you bring the kids with you? They'd love the beach. Mom again, I've already told everyone you'd be handling the children. What am I supposed to tell them now? This is so inconsiderate. I stared at the messages, a strange calm settling over me. The veil had been lifted. There was no concern for my feelings, no questions about why I might need this trip, no acknowledgement that I deserved a Christmas of my own. Just panic over disrupted plans and anger that I wouldn't be fulfilling my assigned role. Before I could respond, my phone rang. My mother. I took a deep breath and answered. Amber. John. Michelle, what on earth do you think you're doing? Her voice was sharp with anger and disbelief. I'm taking a vacation, Mom, I replied, striving to keep my voice steady. I need some time for myself. At Christmas, have you lost your mind? This is when families come together. Unless they're at the Hendersons' party, I said before I could stop myself. Or at the country club brunch. There was a pause. What are you talking about? I hadn't planned to reveal that I'd overheard them, but now there was no going back. I came by the house early 3 days ago. I heard you all planning to use me as the Christmas babysitter without even asking me. You all made plans to go to adult-only events while I watched all 9 kids. Another pause, longer this time. You were eavesdropping? Of all the responses she could have had, that was not what I expected. No apology, no acknowledgement of their behavior, just accusation. I wasn't eavesdropping, Mom. I came to bring you those special cheeses you like. I overheard you all discussing me as if I'm the family au pair rather than your daughter and sister. That's not fair, she said, her voice rising. We appreciate everything you do for this family. Do you? Because it sounded like you take it for granted that I'll drop everything whenever anyone needs me. This is what family does, Amber, we help each other. No, Mom, I help everyone else. When was the last time someone rearranged their plans to help me? When was the last time anyone considered what I might want for Christmas? She didn't have an answer for that. I'm going to Florida, I said firmly. I've already paid for the trip. You'll all need to make other arrangements for childcare. You're ruining Christmas for everyone, she said, her voice breaking. Is that what you want? The guilt hit me hard, as I knew it would. My mother knew exactly which buttons to push. For a moment, I wavered. Then I remembered the casual way she had said, Amber never has plans anyway. I'm not ruining Christmas, Mom. I'm just not sacrificing mine this year. I have to go. I'll talk to you when I get back. I hung up before she could respond. My hands were shaking, but I felt oddly liberated. For perhaps the first time in my adult life, I had stood my ground with my mother. The text messages continued to pour in. My sister Madison called next, then Rachel. I let both go to voicemail. My brother Nathan sent a text that was surprisingly less accusatory. Bad timing, but I get it. They shouldn't have planned that without asking you. That small show of understanding nearly brought me to tears. The barrage continued throughout the evening. My phone buzzed so frequently that I finally turned off notifications. The messages ranged from guilt-tripping to angry to pleading. My father, characteristically, remained silent throughout the entire exchange, neither defending me nor joining in the criticism. By nightfall, the stress had culminated in a full-blown anxiety attack. I sat on my bathroom floor, struggling to breathe, doubting my decision, tempted to cancel everything and fall back into my familiar role of family pleaser. With shaking hands, I called Jessica. They hate me, I gasped when she answered. They don't hate you, she assured me. They're just realizing that they can't control you anymore, and it's freaking them out. This is normal, Amber. This is what happens when you change the rules of engagement. Maybe I should just cancel the trip, I whispered. Keep the peace. And then what? Jessica asked gently. You go back to being taken for granted. You wash their kids while they party. Nothing changes, and you're in the same position next year, and the year after that. She was right again. I'm proud of you, Jessica continued. This is a huge step. It's going to be uncomfortable for a while, but you're doing the right thing for yourself. After we hung up, I made a decision. I temporarily blocked my family's numbers just for the night. I needed space to breathe, to process, to strengthen my resolve. Tomorrow I would deal with the fallout, but tonight I needed peace. As I lay in bed that night, I felt a strange mix of emotions, guilt, anxiety, sadness, but also, threading through it all, a thin strand of something that felt like pride. For once, I had chosen myself. The next morning, I unblocked my family's numbers to find several more messages, most continuing the theme of guilt and anger, though some had evolved into negotiation. My mother had left a voicemail suggesting I take the trip after Christmas. Instead, Addison had texted asking if I could at least wash the kids on Christmas Eve, if not Christmas Day. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I focused on preparing for my trip, which was now just 2 days away. I'd never taken a spontaneous vacation before. All my previous trips had been meticulously planned months in advance, with color-coded itineraries and backup plans for every contingency. This time, I had nothing but a confirmation email and a hastily packed suitcase. It was terrifying and thrilling all at once. I realized I own almost no summer clothes, having donated most of them at the end of the season. A December trip to Florida hadn't been on my radar. I spent the morning shopping for essentials: sundresses, shorts, sandals, and swimsuits. I bought a ridiculous floppy sun hat that I'd never have the courage to wear at home. I bought sunscreen in December, an act that felt rebellious in its own small way. As I shopped, I kept thinking about the presents I'd already purchased for my family, thoughtful, expensive gifts chosen with care over the past several months. I had hidden them in my closet, waiting to wrap them in the special paper I bought each year. After some deliberation, I decided to drop them off at my parents' house. Whatever was happening between us, I didn't want to punish them by withholding gifts they were expecting. But I also wasn't ready to face them in person. I drove to their house in the early afternoon, reasonably sure everyone would be at work or running errands. I left the bags of unwrapped gifts on the front porch with a simple note: "Merry Christmas, love, Amber." As I was getting back in my car, my neighbor Mrs. Caldwell came over to ask if I'd water her plants while she visited her daughter over the holidays, as I'd done for years. I explained that I would be away myself this year. "Good for you," she said, surprising me. "It's about time you did something for yourself. I've watched your family take advantage of you for years." I was stunned. Had it been that obvious to everyone but me? Back at my apartment, I finished packing and arranged for my own neighbor to keep an eye on my place. Then I sat down to compose one final message to my family. This would be my last communication before leaving, and I wanted to make it count. "I understand you're all upset with my decision to take this trip. I'm sorry for the last-minute notice, but I need you to understand why I'm doing this. When I heard you all planning to use me as childcare for Christmas without even asking me, it hurt deeply. It made me realize that I've allowed myself to be taken for granted for too long. This isn't about avoiding family or not loving the kids, it's about setting boundaries and taking care of myself for once. I hope you can use this time to consider how we can build a healthier family dynamic going forward. I love you all, and I'll see you after the holidays." I hit send before I could second-guess myself, then turned off my phone entirely. I needed to be free of the drama, at least until I was safely away. The morning of my departure arrived with a fresh blanket of snow covering the city, as if the universe were emphasizing the contrast between where I was and where I was going. I took one last look at my Christmas tree, the presents from friends still arranged beneath it, waiting for my return. The cab ride to the airport was quiet, my thoughts racing between anxiety about the family situation and excitement about my first solo vacation. At the security checkpoint, I turned my phone back on briefly, just to make sure there were no emergency messages. There were dozens of texts and voicemails, but nothing that constituted an actual emergency. I turned the phone off again and proceeded through security, feeling a weight lifting with each step. As I settled into my seat on the plane, a middle-aged woman took the seat beside me. She noticed my white-knuckle grip on the armrest. Flying had always made me nervous and smiled sympathetically. "First time flying?" she asked. "No," I replied. "Just first time flying to escape my family for Christmas." I hadn't meant to be so candid with a stranger, but something about the liminal space of an airplane made it easy to be honest. She laughed. "Been there. 5 years ago, I skipped Christmas with my in-laws to go on a meditation retreat. Best decision I ever made. Sometimes you need to break the pattern to change it." Her words felt like permission, like confirmation that I wasn't crazy for doing this. We chatted throughout the flight, and her stories of setting boundaries with her own family helped calm my nerves about the situation I'd left behind. As the plane began its descent, I looked out the window at the sparkling blue ocean coming into view. Snow and ice had been replaced by palm trees and sunshine. It felt symbolic somehow, the cold demands of obligation giving way to the warmth of self-care. When the wheels touched down, I felt something shift inside me. For the first time in as long as I could remember, I was exactly where I wanted to be, doing exactly what I wanted to do. No one else's needs or expectations were dictating my movement. The resort was everything the website had promised: a small, peaceful property right on the beach. My room had a balcony overlooking the ocean, and the sound of waves crashing against the shore replaced the familiar sounds of city traffic. I stood on that balcony as the sun began to set on Christmas Eve, watching the sky turn brilliant shades of orange and pink. The beauty of it brought tears to my eyes. In all my years of making Christmas perfect for everyone else, I had never experienced a moment of such pure, selfish joy. I whispered to myself words that felt both like a revelation and a promise: "Merry Christmas, Amber." I woke up Christmas morning to the sound of waves rather than the chaotic noise of family gathering and children unwrapping presents. For a moment, the silence felt wrong, almost eerie in its unfamiliarity. For nearly 3 decades, Christmas morning had followed the same script. Wake up early, help prepare breakfast, wash the kids' open gifts, clean up the wrapping paper tornado, begin cooking for dinner, mediating sibling squabbles throughout the day. This silence, this freedom felt almost illicit. I stepped onto the balcony in my pajamas, coffee in hand, and watched the sun rise over the ocean. The beach was nearly empty, just a few early morning joggers and an elderly couple walking hand in hand along the shoreline. It was peaceful in a way I'd never associated with Christmas Day. Around mid-morning, my curiosity got the better of me, and I turned on my phone. The barrage was immediate: more texts, more voicemails, even emails from family members who rarely contacted me that way. I scrolled through them quickly, not reading most in detail. The tone had shifted somewhat from anger to resignation, with occasional bursts of passive aggression. My mother had sent a family photo from their Christmas Eve dinner with the caption, "Missing one person." Madison had sent pictures of her kids opening presents, followed by, "They asked where Aunt Amber was." Classic guilt tactics, all of them. I was about to turn the phone off again when Jessica called. "Merry Christmas from the frozen north," she greeted me. "How's Paradise?" "Quiet," I said truthfully. "Beautiful, strange." "The family is in complete chaos," Jessica reported with a hint of satisfaction. "Your mom called me to see if I knew where you were staying, like I would give up that information. Your sister Rachel is washing Madison's kids, and Madison is washing Rachel's kids. They've had to split the childcare between them." I felt a twinge of guilt, quickly followed by vindication. "So they found a solution." "Oh, they found multiple solutions," Jessica continued. "Your mom canceled going to the Henderson party to help with the kids. Your dad is apparently on babysitting duty right now while everyone else cooks. They're actually sharing responsibilities, Amber. It's a Christmas miracle." I laughed, though it was tinged with sadness. It had taken my complete absence from my family to realize that childcare was a shared responsibility, not just Amber's job. "Any regrets?" Jessica asked gently. I looked out at the sparkling ocean. "Not about the trip. But I regret that it took something this drastic for them to see me as a person with my own needs." "That's on them, not you," Jessica reminded me. "Enjoy your well-deserved break. I want a full report when you get back." After we hung up, I decided to join the resort's Christmas activities. The staff had organized a special brunch for guests spending the holiday away from home. The dining room was decorated with tropical-themed Christmas decor, palm trees strung with lights, seashell ornaments, and poinsettias everywhere. I was seated at a table with several other solo travelers. There was Rachel, a cardiothoracic surgeon from Chicago who worked holidays every year but had finally taken Christmas for herself. Mark, who was avoiding difficult in-laws, and an elderly couple, Joan and Bill, who had chosen travel over a traditional family gathering, while we still can, as Bill put it. "First Christmas alone," Joan asked me kindly as we enjoy mimosas. "First Christmas for myself," I corrected her, surprising myself with the conviction in my voice. Over brunch, we shared our stories. I found myself opening up about the overheard conversation, the years of being taken for granted, the anxiety that had driven me to finally set boundaries. Instead of judgment, I received understanding and encouragement. "My family did the same thing to me for years," Rachel the surgeon confided. "As the single one, I was always assigned holidays at the hospital. Rachel can work Christmas, she doesn't have kids, till 1 year I just said no. There was drama, but they got over it. After brunch, the resort had organized a beach meditation session. I'd never meditated before and felt slightly awkward sitting cross-legged in the sand with strangers, but as the instructor guided us through breathing exercises, something powerful happened. As I focused on the sound of the waves, the warmth of the sun, and the sensation of the breeze on my skin, tears began streaming down my face. They weren't tears of sadness or guilt, but of release. Years of suppressed resentment, of swallowed protests, of needs set aside, all of it seemed to flow out with those tears. I wasn't just crying for this Christmas, but for all the Christmases when I'd been present physically but absent in every way that mattered, my own experience secondary to everyone else. In the afternoon, the resort's counselor led a journaling workshop specifically designed for holiday reflection. She provided prompts that seemed tailored to my situation. What are you gaining by choosing yourself this holiday? What patterns are you breaking by being here? What would you like to carry forward from this experience? As I wrote, I realized how one-sided my relationships had become, not just with family, but with friends, colleagues, even acquaintances. I had built my identity around being helpful, reliable, available, never wanting to disappoint others, even at the cost of disappointing myself. No wonder people took advantage. I had trained them too. That evening, the resort hosted a Christmas dinner for all guests. The tables were arranged in a large circle, and the meal was served family-style, creating an instant sense of community among strangers. We pulled Christmas crackers, wore paper crowns, and share holiday traditions from our various backgrounds. For dessert, there was both traditional Christmas pudding and key lime pie, a perfect blend of tradition and tropical escape. As we ate, each person shared one gift they were giving themselves this Christmas. When my turn came, I said without hesitation, the gift of boundary. After dinner, several of us took a walk along the moonlit beach. The night was warm and clear, stars scattered across the sky like diamond dust. I found myself walking alongside Mark, who had become something of a friend over the course of the day. "Do you think your family will understand why you did this?" he asked as we strolled. "Maybe not right away," I replied, "but I hope eventually they'll see that this wasn't about rejecting them. It was about finding myself." Back in my room, I made an impulsive decision to extend my stay by 2 more days. The thought of returning to the family drama immediately after Christmas felt exhausting. I needed this buffer, this time to strengthen my new boundaries before testing them against the force of family expectations. That night, I posted my first social media update since arriving, a simple photo of the beach at sunset with the caption, "Finding peace this Christmas." I didn't explicitly state where I was, but it was obvious I wasn't home in the snow. The post triggered another round of messages from family. Some were concerned, "Are you alone for Christmas?" Others were still angry, "Hope your selfish vacation is worth hurting the family," and a few showed the first glimmers of understanding, "The kids miss you, but I hope you're enjoying your break." The varied responses reinforced what I was learning about boundaries. They revealed people's true colors. Those who respected me as an autonomous person accepted my choice, even if they didn't like it. Those who viewed me primarily as a function babysitter, helper, reliable backup were the most upset by my absence. As I fell asleep that night, Christmas carols drifting from the resort's main building, I felt the weight of guilt continuing to lift. In its place was something new and fragile: pride in myself for finally having the courage to prioritize my own needs. The next morning, I treated myself to a small gift, a delicate silver bracelet with a tiny shell charm that I found in the resort's gift shop. It wasn't expensive, but it was symbolic, a tangible reminder of the Christmas when I finally chose myself. As the shopkeeper wrapped it, she asked if it was a gift. "Yes," I said, "for me." 2 simple words that represented a profound shift in how I saw myself and my place in the world. For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't an afterthought in my own story. I was the protagonist, making choices based on my own needs and desires. The journey wasn't over. I would have to return home and face my family eventually, but something fundamental had changed. I was no longer the Amber who would say yes to everything. I was becoming someone new, someone who understood that self-care wasn't selfish, and that true love, whether for family or self, require honest boundaries. The flight home felt like traveling between worlds, from the sunshine and self-discovery of my beach retreat back to the cold reality of family dynamics waiting to be confronted. I spent most of the journey mentally rehearsing what I would say when I inevitably faced my family, trying to find words that were firm but not harsh, honest but not accusatory. I hadn't told anyone exactly when I was returning, needing that small buffer of privacy to decompress and prepare. So I was shocked when I unlocked my apartment door to find my entire family sitting in my living room: parents, siblings, even brothers-in-law. Only the children were absent. "What are you all doing here?" I asked, dropping my suitcase in surprise. "How did you get in?" "Your neighbor let us in," my mother said. "We've been worried sick about you." The manipulation was so transparent it almost made me laugh. They hadn't been worried about my safety, they'd known exactly where I was. They were worried about the precedent I was setting by prioritizing myself. "I told you when I'd be back," I said, closing the door behind me. "There was no need to worry." "You ran away at Christmas, Amber," Madison said accusingly. "You left us scrambling to find childcare. The kids were disappointed," Mom cried. The old Amber would have immediately apologized, accepted the guilt, promised never to do it again. But the woman who had stood on that beach watching the sunrise was not the same one who had left a week ago. "I didn't run away," I said calmly. "I took a vacation that I informed you about in advance. And I wouldn't have had to make those plans if you hadn't all decided to use me as unpaid childcare without even asking me first." "We were going to ask you," my sister Rachel protested weakly. "When, Christmas Eve morning, when it was too late for me to say no without feeling like I was ruining everyone's plans, I set my purse down and took a deep breath. I overheard all of you at Mom and Dad's house, planning to dump 9 kids on me for 2 days so you could all go to adult-only events. You didn't consider my feelings or plans at all." A heavy silence fell over the room. My father, who had been quiet until now, finally spoke up. "She's right," he said, surprising everyone, including me. "We've taken advantage of Amber's good nature for too long. We should have asked her instead of assuming." My mother's eyes filled with tears. "We never meant to hurt you, Amber. We just thought. You've always been so good with the kids, so willing to help. We didn't realize you felt used." "That's the problem, Mom," I said, my voice softening slightly. "You didn't realize because you never asked. None of you ever ask what I want or what my plans are, you just assume I'll fit my life around everyone else's needs." Madison started to protest, but her husband Tyler interrupted her. "Let's be honest here," he said, looking uncomfortable but determined. "We've all done this. We call Amber first whenever we need something because she never says no. That's not fair to her." I felt a rush of gratitude toward Tyler for this unexpected support. "I don't mind helping out," I clarified, sitting down across from them. "I love you all, and I love the kids. But I need to be asked, not told. I need my time and plans to be respected, just like yours are, and sometimes I need to be able to say no without being made to feel guilty about it." My brother-in-law Nathan, who had been quiet until now, leaned forward. "I get it, Amber. I noticed this pattern a while ago but didn't say anything. That's on me. I should have spoken up." His admission meant more than he could know. "I was jealous," Madison suddenly confessed, tears in her eyes. "You have this freedom that I gave up when I had kids so young. Sometimes it's easier to make you feel bad about that freedom than to admit I envy it." Her honesty broke something open in the room. One by one, my siblings began to acknowledge the ways they had taken me for granted, the times they had prioritized their needs over mine, the assumptions they had made about my availability simply because I was single. My mother was the hardest to convince. "But families are supposed to help each other," she insisted, though her tone had lost some of its certainty. "That's how we were raised." "Help should go both ways, Mom," I said gently. "When was the last time someone rearranged their schedule to help me with something? When was the last time anyone asked what I needed for Christmas instead of just assigning me a role?" She had no answer for that. "I'm not saying I won't help anymore," I continued. "I'm just saying I need to be part of the conversation. I need to be treated like an adult with my own life, not just as a convenient resource." We talked for hours, clearing the air, establishing new expectations. There were moments of defensiveness, old patterns reasserting themselves, but each time we worked through them with more honesty than we'd ever managed. Before they left, we agreed to try family therapy, just one session to start, to help us communicate better and establish healthier dynamics. It was more than I had hoped for when I walked through that door. As they were leaving, my mother hung back. "I'm sorry, Amber," she said quietly. "I didn't realize how unfair we've been. I hope your Christmas was good, even without us." It was different, I said honestly, but I needed it. Maybe next year we can find a way to make the holiday work for everyone. She nodded, and I saw a glimmer of understanding in her eyes. It wasn't complete acceptance yet, but it was a start. A few days later, I had dinner alone with my parents, a chance to talk without the chaos and cross-currents of the larger family dynamic. My father, typically quiet about emotional matters, surprised me by acknowledging how the family had fallen into this pattern. "You are always such a helpful child," he said, "so eager to please. I think we all just got used to relying on that, without realizing how unfair it was to you as an adult. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner, and I'm sorry I didn't stand up for you more." Those words healed something in me I hadn't even realized was wounded. New Year's Eve arrived, and I celebrated with Jessica and other friends, sharing stories of my trip and the confrontation that followed. For the first time, I talked openly about my frustrations with my family without immediately following up with excuses for their behavior. "I'm proud of you," Jessica said, raising her glass in a toast, "to boundaries and biches." "To boundaries and biches," we all echoed, laughing. The real test came 2 weeks later, when my sister Rachel called to ask if I could watch her kids while she went to a doctor's appointment. The old Amber would have automatically said yes, rearranging her schedule without question. The new Amber checked her calendar first. "I have a client meeting until 3, I told her. "I could pick them up after that if your appointment is later in the afternoon." There was a brief pause, as if she was waiting for me to offer to reschedule my meeting. When I didn't, she simply said, "That works, thank you." No guilt, no pressure, just a straightforward request and response between equals. Over the next few months, I noticed subtle shifts in our family dynamic. My siblings began to ask rather than assume when they needed help. My mother called to chat without making requests. Family gatherings became more collaborative, with responsibilities more evenly distributed. It wasn't perfect. Old habits occasionally reasserted themselves, and I sometimes struggled to maintain boundaries without feeling guilt. But each time I stayed firm, it got a little easier. Each time I prioritized my needs without apology, I grew a little stronger. By the following Christmas, things had changed significantly. We all sat down in October to plan the holiday together, with everyone's preferences and needs taken into consideration. I agreed to watch the kids for one evening, not 2, and my sisters arranged to split childcare duties for the other events. My brother and his wife offered to host the main Christmas dinner, taking that burden off my mother and me. It wasn't about avoiding responsibility or shirking family duties. It was about distribution, fairness, and respect for everyone's time and preferences. It was about remembering that I was a person, not just a resource. As I hung ornaments on my own tree that December, I touched the tiny shell charm on the bracelet I'd bought myself the year before. That impulsive trip had been more than just an escape, it had been the beginning of a transformation, not just for me but for my entire family. I had learned that setting boundaries wasn't selfish. It was necessary for healthy relationships. I had discovered that saying no didn't mean I loved my family less, it meant I finally loved myself enough. And perhaps most importantly, I had realized that the greatest gift you can give yourself is the courage to define your own worth, to claim your own space in the world, and to teach others how to treat you with the respect you deserve. So if you're watching this and recognizing yourself in my story, if you're the reliable one, the always available one, the one who never says no, remember that you deserve a place at the table too. Your needs matter just as much as anyone else's. Have you ever had to set difficult boundaries with family? Share your experience in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to choose yourself. Happy holidays.